Good morning, TikTok. It's Ash of a Shared Meditation. I'm here reading Calming the Fearful Mind as in Response to Terrorism by Thich, Nhat, Hanh. So we are on chapter 4 of 7. The other 3 chapters are uploaded to my YouTube already. If you want to listen to those before you jump in here or listen to this one on the replay on YouTube, to find me there, you'll search Asheric Meditation, Asheric. All right, I'm just going to jump right back in. Chapter 4, Leading with Courage and Compassion. Peace is made of peace. In the fall of 2003, I offered a public talk at the Library of Congress and the weekend retreat for the U.S. Congress members to help them build an inner island of peace and stability to better face the demands of political life. I shared how we can create more time to be present for ourselves, to release the tension in our bodies and minds, and touch the wonders of life within and all around us. In the retreat, Congress members practiced sitting peacefully together, walking mindfully, and eating meals of mindfulness and gratitude. They saw that the practice of mindfulness is a concrete expression of our peace, stability, and freedom. Peace is made of peace. Peace is a living substance we build our lives with. It is not only made of discussions and treaties. To infuse our world with peace, we must walk in peace, speak with peace, and listen with peace. If we do this, we will be able to bring more joy into our daily lives, relate better to our family members, and use our insight, compassion, and understanding to better serve our community, and be able to help heal the wounds that divide our nation and the world. When you sit at the airport, use this time to go home to yourself and take care of your body and mind. Instead of allowing yourself to worry about the future, practice mindful breathing to return to the present moment. We breathe in and out all day, but we are not aware that we are breathing in and breathing out. Wherever we are in traffic, waiting for a red light to change, we can bring our attention to our breath. Breathing in, I know I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. Breathing in, I know I am alive. Breathing out, I smile to life. This is a very simple practice. If we go home to our in-breath and our out-breath, breathing in and out mindfully, we become fully present, fully alive in the here and now. In daily life, our minds are often elsewhere, in the past or in the future, caught in our projects or worries or our anxieties. When our minds are not with our body, we aren't truly present, and we can't touch life deeply. Life is only available in the present moment. The past is already gone. The future is not yet here. We have an appointment with life, and it is right now. We don't have to wait until we die to go to the kingdom of heaven. In fact, we have to be very alive. The Buddhist equivalent of the kingdom of heaven is the pure land of the Buddha. This is not a place we get to by dying or becoming martyrs of our faith. The kingdom of God isn't just an idea, it is a reality available to us in the full moon, in the blue sky, the majestic mountains and rivers, and the beautiful faces of our children. We need only to be present to breathe in and out mindfully in order to get in touch with the kingdom of God. The kingdom of God is always available to us, but are we available to the kingdom? Thank you for the likes, guys. When we come home to the present moment, we become aware of our body, and all of our tension is released. Everyone can practice paying attention to their breath, perhaps repeating these words. Breathing in, I am aware of my body. Breathing out, I release the tension in my body. You do not need to be a Buddhist to practice this. You can sit in whatever position you feel comfortable and practice releasing the tension and tightness in your body. 1 or 2 minutes of practice can already make a big difference. When I breathe in, I generate the energy of mindfulness. Pardon me. My voice is a bit weak today. With this energy, I recognize my body's aches and tensions. I begin to embrace my body tenderly, and I allow any tension to be released. Many of us accumulate a lot of tension and pressure in our bodies, working them too hard. It is time to come home to our bodies. This is possible at any time, whether we are sitting, lying, standing, or walking. The practice of walking mindfully is possible for every one of us. Whether we are at home, the airport, or on Capitol Hill. Each step made in mindfulness is very nourishing and healing and brings solidity and freedom. When I walk in mindfulness, I do not think. If you think while you walk, you will be lost in your thinking, and you cannot enjoy making steps, walking in the kingdom of God, the pure land of the Buddha. With the energy of mindfulness and concentration, you can enjoy every step you make. Practicing mindful walking with a friend or a community can make it much easier, but alone it may be more difficult. Perhaps you can invite a partner, a friend, a coworker to practice with you. Being fully present. Coming home to our bodies can bring us relief within just a few minutes. After that, we come home to our feelings and emotions. Breathing in, I am aware of my feelings. Breathing out, I calm and release the tension in my feelings. This kind of practice can be done anytime, anywhere, on a train, on an airplane, at work, or at home. If we do not know how to take care of ourselves and to love ourselves, we cannot take care of the people we love. Loving oneself is the foundation for loving another person. If we love someone, the greatest gift we can make to him or her is our true presence. If we are caught in our thinking and our worries about the past and the future, we aren't truly present, and so we can't offer this most precious thing, our presence and compassion, to our loved ones. Breathing and walking mindfully and becoming fully alive should be our top priority. How can you love if you aren't really present? To love someone is a practice. If you're really there, your beloved will know it. If you only pretend to be there, your loved one will know that as well. When you bring your mind back to your body and become fully present in the here and now, you're in a position to take care of your beloved one. Your own presence in the here and now will make life available to you. Your beloved belongs to life. The kingdom of God belongs to life. When you become present, your beloved one and the kingdom of God become available to you at the same time. When I drink tea with my full awareness, this is the mindful drinking. If I establish myself in the here and now, my tea becomes fully present too. It is possible to drink our tea and eat our breakfast mindfully. You might ask, I have so many things to take care of and think about. How can I afford the time to drink my tea mindfully? But if you are lost in your thinking while you're drinking your tea, it isn't truly tea drinking. You are not real, and the tea is not real. This is why non-thinking is very important practice. Pardon me, one moment. I don't deny that thinking is important, but there is a productive thinking and unproductive thinking. If we aren't capable of living the moments of our daily life deeply, we can't touch reality in a deep way, and our thinking wouldn't be very productive. I usually enjoy walking meditation before I give a talk. While walking to the auditorium, I don't think about my talk. I just enjoy every step I'd make. This is why when it comes time for the talk can be good, and time for non-talking is the foundation for the time of talking. Embracing our pain. Coming home to ourselves so that we can recognize our pain, sorrow, fear, and anger is a fundamental practice. Mindfulness and concentration help us to do this without fear of being overwhelmed by these negative energies. Many of us are afraid of being with ourselves because we're afraid of the huge amount of fear, loneliness, and anger within us. This is why we seek to cover up and avoid these blocks of suffering by consuming food, television, books, alcohol, and alcohol. Oh, pardon me, there we go. With the energy born from mindful breathing and mindful walking, it is possible to get in touch with our pain without being overwhelmed by it. The energy of mindfulness helps us to recognize our pain and embrace it tenderly like a mother whose baby is crying. When the baby cries, the mother stops whatever she is doing, goes to pick up her baby, and holds it tenderly in her arms. The energy of the mother penetrates into the baby, and the baby begins to feel better immediately. When we recognize and embrace the pain and sorrow within us, it calms down like the baby in her mother's arms. If we hold our anger, sorrow, and fear with mindfulness, we will be able to recognize the roots of our afflictions. With mindfulness, we can also recognize the suffering in the person we love. If he speaks or acts in a harmful way, we can understand that he is a victim of suffering that he doesn't know how to handle. This awareness makes us want to help him to transform his suffering as we have transformed our own. Once we taste true happiness and peace, it is very easy to transform our anger. We don't have to fight anymore. Our anger begins to dissolve because we're able to bring elements of peace and joy into our body and consciousness every day. Mindfulness helps us avoid bringing elements of war and violence into our body and consciousness. This basic practice can transform the anger, fear, and violence within us so that we can better serve ourselves and our country. Members of Congress probably want to offer the best of their insight, experience, and understanding to their country. But because they belong to a certain party, they have to vote according to its interests and may not always be able to vote according to their own insight. This is unwise political action. When people elect someone to Congress, they rely on that person's wisdom, talent, and experience. The title of the retreat I gave for members of Congress was Leading with Courage and Compassion. Leading requires, first of all, voting with the courage and being willing to risk losing status in a political party. Sometimes politicians do not dare to express their thoughts or insights out of fear they will be ostracized. This is a big problem. With enough mindfulness and concentration, politicians could understand the suffering and the difficulties of their constituents. With the understanding, they can offer this kind of insight that will respond effectively to the situation, regardless of their political party. But for the most part in Congress, our representatives just fight for their ideas. They don't listen to each other. Any idea that doesn't correspond to the political party's platform is considered wrong. If people from another party share real, valuable insight, politicians have to reject it. Each politician's goal is to defend their party's positions. Colleagues in other parties are considered adversaries or even enemies. If you're caught in this way of reacting, there is no possibility for real communication and mutual understanding in Congress. This isn't real democracy. This is a threat to democracy. The current quality of listening and speaking in Congress isn't very good. If Congress could practice deep listening and loving speech, it would become a family, a community. In Plum Village, we have developed a practice called Beginning Anew to keep communication open and restore love and understanding in the community. Although it would be difficult at first, using this process in Congress would change the whole way this country engages in politics. Once each week, we sit together in a circle with a vase of flowers in the center, and we practice loving speech and listening deeply to each other. We invite the bell of mindfulness to begin and to end, also after each person has spoken and whenever it is needed. When someone wants to speak, she goes to the center, picks up the vase of flowers, and brings it back to her place. She sits with the flowers in front of her, and they help her maintain her freshness as she speaks. While she is speaking, no one may interrupt. She begins with flower watering, recognizing the wholesome and wonderful qualities of others in the community. Each person has positive qualities, and with a little awareness, we can recognize them. This is a chance to encourage and appreciate others and to be in touch with the gratitude we feel. After watering the flowers, she may express regret for any unskillfulness, any mistakes she has made, or any hurt she may have caused. She may also express if she has felt hurt by someone in the community. This can be the first step toward reconciliation. Beginning with flower watering is very important. It is difficult to hold on to anger and resentment when we are aware of the other person's beautiful qualities and we have a larger, more balanced view of them. She speaks truthfully and constructively without blaming, arguing, or criticizing. Her aim is not to divide, but to strengthen and to heal the community. Everyone, including the person who has hurt her, listens deeply without judging or reacting, giving her a chance to express herself and to have some relief. If you were to respond to her in that moment, she would not feel she was being heard. Listening in this way is a very deep practice. It takes skill and patience, and it is very important. If the other person would like to respond to her with the whole community present, he will have the opportunity at the next session of beginning anew. If she simply has a misperception that he would like to clear up, he can go to her privately in a few days and tell her sweetly and calmly that she was not correct. If they would like to meet, they can arrange a time and ask others to be present, or they can ask a third person to be there as a mediator. Last, the speaker has the opportunity to reveal any situation, difficulty, or happiness affecting her right now that she would like to share with the community. When she has finished speaking, she returns the vase of flowers to the center, goes back to her seat, and another person then has the opportunity to take a turn and speak. We close the session with a song by holding hands with everyone in the circle and breathing together for a minute. After beginning anew, everyone in the community feels light. Even if we have only taken the first steps towards healing, we know that we can continue. Congress right now is often filled with recriminations, with fighting and posturing. If politicians could practice beginning anew, space for truth and healing might open up. Again, I am Ash Eric of Ash Eric Meditation. After I'm done reading this section, you'll be able to find it back up on YouTube under Ash Eric Meditation, ASHERIC. We are reading Calming the Fearful Mind, a Zen Response to Terrorism, and the author's name is Thich, Nhat, Hanh. 5 steps for coming home to ourselves. Public figures often express their concerns about increasing levels of violence in our society. They're right. There is far too much violence in our families and in our schools. Each politician may have ideas and insights about how to reduce violence. But instead of sharing ideas, politicians compete to have their own idea prevail. If instead we can combine all of our individual insights and experiences, we will arrive at a collective insight. If we are not capable of listening to our colleagues with an open heart simply because they belong to another political party, and we only consider and support ideas from our own party as worthwhile, we are harming the very foundation of democracy. To transform Congress into a compassionate community of true brothers and sisters, where everyone learns to listen to everyone else with an equal interest and concern, is a very deep practice, and the first step would be for each politician to come home to herself. Most politicians haven't had time to come home to themselves. They are constantly focused outside of themselves. They are rarely in touch with or taking care of their bodies, feelings, mental formations, and consciousness. They allow themselves to be carried away by things around them, like their projects, worries, regrets, or by meaningless entertainment. I'm going to add in there for today's sake, blackmail. So the first step is to go home to yourself and to recognize the suffering and the pain in you, and to know how to embrace and transform it. After coming home to themselves, I recommended that each politician approached her family, her partner. Once you have gone home to yourself, you are in the position to help a partner go home to him or herself, to heal the pain they have inside. This is the second step, taking care of your beloved. When you have succeeded in the first and second steps, you and your partner become one. You can share your concerns and your aspirations and your difficulties with your partner and your family, and all of you become stronger. If you don't include your partner in your mindfulness, he becomes an obstacle, and you become an obstacle for him. When you have the support of your family and there is good communication, you no longer feel lonely and you have plenty of happiness. Then you have the energy to pursue your dreams. I recommend that once each politician has united with his family, he could take a third step and help the people who work in his office to go back home to themselves. Every senator, every representative has staff members. They have their own suffering and difficulties. How a congressperson speaks and acts towards them may contribute in some way of their suffering. This is why taking care of members of your staff is very important. Listen to them using the techniques of deep listening and loving speech to create mutual understanding and trust. You can only succeed as a leader when you have a staff that has confidence in you and supports you. When, through your own practice, you can inspire staff to go home to themselves, they will work not just for money, but because they want to realize a shared ideal. This is a very healthy kind of desire. This is true whether you are a politician, a business person, or anyone who works with other people. If you don't know anything about the difficulties, suffering, and aspirations of the people who work for you, then they can't be with you 100%. When you work together as a team, as a community, then you are in a much stronger position to take the fourth and fifth steps. The fourth healing step I recommend is the congressional representatives listen to their colleagues. Every member of Congress has his or her own difficulties and aspirations. The most meaningful thing a member of Congress could do is to offer her best insight and talent and listen to the wisdom of others. There is far too much division, suspicion, and hatred in Congress. With so much division, it's difficult for members to serve their country. There is division in our homes, in our schools, in our communities, and our society. Division in our Congress leads to division in our world. The wounds are there, and we don't have the capacity to heal them. We are not really practicing democracy. We do not really listen to each other. We do not know how to we do not know how to combine our insight to arrive at the best decision for the country. Congress as a community has to come home to itself and be mindful of what is happening within Congress. If Congress takes this fourth step, Congress as a whole can go home to itself and be in a stronger position to help lead the country. The fifth step is for a representative to take care of the people in his district, the constituents who have voted for him. If a representative has a strong staff and he can establish good relationships with the people in his district, then he can help them go back home to themselves as well. Good communication between representatives and his constituents is critical. If the people understand that their representative is doing and trust his motivations, they will vote for him, and he does not have to worry day and night about getting reelected. Many of us experience social injustice, poverty, and discrimination. We rely on Congress members to fight for us to improve the situation. We may believe that we can only be happy when the government gives us more or better jobs, schools, or hospitals. But the solution is not as simple as that. There are many other things that contribute to our unhappiness that we may not even be aware of. When parents can't speak to each other, when there is no communication between parents and their children, we suffer enormously every day. The level of violence in the family, in schools, and throughout society is one of the greatest causes of suffering. We have to go home to ourselves as a country and learn how to practice. We cannot wait for the government to act. There is a lot we can do to improve our situation even before the government intervenes. A Congress member can inspire her constituents to go back home to themselves and to have more confidence in themselves. Everything relies on our capacity to practice deep listening and loving speech. Organizing nonviolence retreats. I urge every public figure to look deeply for a way to decrease the dangerous levels of violence in our schools and families. I suggest that they expand current violence reduction efforts to include workshops or retreats that could be organized to teach parents how to communicate compassionately, with deep listening and gentle speech to remove wrong perceptions and restore happiness. Teachers could also have the chance to go to a week-long workshop or retreat every year to learn the art of healing and transformation. We spend billions of dollars trying to cope with violence outside the country. Yet violence within our own country is overwhelming, and we haven't done enough to help decrease it. We have to find a practice that can deal with the roots of violence. Relying only on police officers to keep the peace is too naive. They can sometimes stop violence on the surface, but the roots of violence remain, always ready to explode. Nonviolence retreats and workshops can help parents and teachers bring peace and reconciliation into the family and school. There are those of us with solid practice and experience who are ready to help, and we don't need money to do it. We only need those skilled in mindfulness and reconciliation to come together and begin to make the plans on a national level. These suggestions are the basic practices of peace. Peace means the absence of violence, first in our families, then in our schools, and then in our society. There are concrete things we can do to bring about healing, transformation, and reconciliation. During a retreat, you receive daily teachings as a kind of spiritual rain that waters the seeds of understanding and compassion within you. On the fourth day of the retreat, the seeds of compassion in you are strong, and you are then capable of listening deeply and using loving speech to restore communication with those you love. On the fifth day, we urge people to contact their beloved ones and practice reconciliation before the end of the retreat. Whenever we offer retreats in whatever language, miracles of reconciliation and healing happen. Because their seeds of compassion, understanding, and awakening have been watered, people are capable of listening to each other and seeing their co-responsibility for any conflict or suffering. Congress could initiate legislation that would give parents and school teachers paid leave to attend a workshop or retreat of mindfulness every year. This one-week retreat would help them to heal and reconcile with themselves and their families so that they could become better parents and teachers. Congress could support the practice of peace and reconciliation characterized by compassion and nonviolence. Our spiritual and religious leaders could help realize this kind of peace action. Part of their job is to bring spiritual dimensions to our social political life, but it is important to organize mindfulness retreats in a non-sectarian way. You don't have to be a Buddhist, have a Buddhist statue, burn incense, or bow to practice reconciliation and healing. In 2003, our community organized a non-sectarian retreat for police officers and criminal justice workers in Madison, Wisconsin. Before the retreat started, we received many letters protesting a Buddhist retreat for police officers. Some people felt it was a violation of the separation of church and state. Those in the Madison Police Department answered clearly that the retreat would not be religious. And in fact, we only practiced to walk, sit, eat, listen, and speak in mindfulness. We didn't worship, we didn't do anything religious, yet the atmosphere was very spiritual. At that retreat, I offered a non-sectarian version of the 3 refuges, the traditional Buddhist affirmation. I offer this version to you here. I have confidence in the capacity of all beings to attain great understanding, peace, and love. I have confidence in this practice, which helps us to walk on the path of great understanding, peace, and love. I have confidence in the community, which is committed to the practice of understanding, peace, and love. I also offer the 5 mindfulness trainings, which are concrete expressions of the practice of mindfulness and are already expressed in non-sectarian language. Practicing Christians, Jews, Muslims, and other people of other faiths have formally received these trainings and rely on them as a support for living a mindful, compassionate life. The first mindfulness training. Aware of the suffering caused by the destruction of life, I am committed to cultivating compassion and learning ways to protect the lives of people, animals, plants, and minerals. I am determined not to kill, not to let others kill, and not to support any act of killing in the world, in my thinking, and in my way of life. The second mindfulness training. Aware of the suffering caused by exploitation, social injustice, stealing, and oppression, I am committed to cultivating loving kindness and learning ways to work for the well-being of people, animals, plants, and minerals. I will practice generosity by sharing my time, energy, and material resources with those who are in real need. I am determined not to steal and not to possess anything that should belong to others. I will respect the property of others, but I will prevent others from profiting from human suffering or the suffering of other species on earth. The third mindfulness training. Aware of the suffering caused by sexual misconduct, I am committed to cultivating responsibility and learning ways to protect the safety and integrity of individuals, couples, families, and society. I am determined not to engage in sexual relations without love and a long-term commitment. To preserve the happiness of myself and others, I am determined to respect my commitments and the commitments of others. I will do everything in my power to protect children from sexual abuse and to prevent couples and families from being broken by sexual misconduct. The fourth mindfulness training. Aware of the suffering caused by unmindful speech and the inability to listen to others, I am committed to cultivating loving speech and deep listening in order to bring joy and happiness to others and relieve others of their suffering. Knowing that words can create happiness or suffering, I am determined to speak truthfully with words that inspire self-confidence, joy, and hope. I will not spread news I do not know to be certain, and I will not criticize or condemn things which I am not sure. I will refrain from uttering words that can cause division or discord, or that can cause the family or community to break. I am determined to make all efforts to reconcile and resolve all conflicts, however small. The fifth mindfulness training. Aware of the suffering caused by unmindful consumption, I am committed to cultivating good health, both physical and mental, for myself, my family, and my society by practicing mindful eating, drinking, and consuming. I will ingest only items that preserve peace, well-being, and joy in my body, in my consciousness, and in the collective body and consciousness of my family and society. I am determined not to use alcohol or any other intoxicant, or to ingest foods or other items that contain toxins, such as certain television programs, magazines, books, films, and conversations. I am aware that to damage my body or my consciousness with these poisons is to betray my ancestors, my parents, my society, and their future generations. I will work to transform violence, fear, and anger and confusion in myself and in society by practicing a diet for myself and for society. I understand that a proper diet is crucial for self-transformation and for the transformation of society. The practice of mindfulness can be universal. You do not have to be a Buddhist. You do not have to eat with chopsticks or wear a long robe to be able to practice. And thank you for tuning in. Again, I am Asherik of Asherik Meditation, and we are reading Calming the Fearful Mind, a Zen Response to Terrorism by Thich, Nhat, Hanh. You will be able to catch all of these replays on YouTube under Asherik Meditation, ASHERIC Meditation. How much do we got? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 6 pages left. Cultivating mindfulness. There is much stress, worry, and fear in the life of a congressperson. Their lives are very hard and they are extremely busy. They spend a great deal of their time campaigning to be re-elected. Learning to walk mindfully and enjoy every step on Capitol Hill is a big challenge. After the retreat, one congressman told us that now he always practices walking mindfully from his office to the congressional chamber. He can't imagine his day without this practice. The congressional retreat ended with a sharing in a circle, and each person had a chance to express him or herself. One Congress member shared, "This is my first time in my life that I have ever eaten mindfully in silence." Most of them said that they didn't expect the retreat to be so relaxing and nourishing. One of the Congress people asked me, What would you recommend as some first practical steps for people of different races and backgrounds to begin to close the gap of racism and bigotry that we experience right now, and that is expanding now to Arab Americans because of September 11th? Also, how do we deal with the legitimate fears after September 11th, 2001 that cause us to look at even our own Arab American citizens in a hostile, distant way? How would you see individuals begin to close the gap? I told him that we have to wake up to the fact that everything is connected and everything else. Safety and well-being cannot be individual matters anymore. If the other group is not safe, there is no way that we can be safe. Taking care of their safety is at the same time taking care of our own safety. Taking care of their well-being is taking care of our own well-being. It is the mind of discrimination and separation that is at the foundation of all hate and violence. My right hand has written all of the poems that I have composed. My left hand hasn't written any, but my right hand never thinks, "You, left hand, you are good for nothing." My right hand does not have any superiority complex at all, so it is very happy. My left hand does not have any inferiority complex either. My two hands have a kind of wisdom called the wisdom of non-discrimination. One day I was hammering a nail and my right hand was not very steady, so instead of pounding on the nail, it pounded on my finger. My right hand put the hammer down and took care of the left hand in a very tender way, just as it would take care of itself. It did not say, "You left hand, you have to remember that I have taken good care of you and you have to pay me back in the future." And my left hand did not say, "You, right hand, have done me a lot of harm. Give me that hammer, I want justice." There was no such thinking. My two hands know that they are members of one body. They are the other. I think that if Israelis and Palestinians know that they are brothers and sisters, that they are like two hands of the same body, they will not try to punish each other anymore. The world community has not helped themselves to see that. Muslims and Hindus also, if they know that non-discrimination is at the base of our suffering, they will know how to touch the seeds of non-discrimination in themselves. This kind of awakening and this deep understanding will keep about reconciliation and well-being. Peace actions. It is very important for all of us to have enough time to look deeply into our situations, to realize the insight that nonviolence can't end violence. Pardon me. It is very important for all of us to have enough time to look deeply into our situations, to realize the insight that violence can't end violence. Only kind, deep listening and loving speech can help restore communication and remove wrong perceptions, the foundation of all hatred, violence, and terrorism. With this insight, we can help other people to attain the same kind of insight. Many people in the U.S. are awake to the fact that peace itself is the way to peace. These people have come together, voiced their concerns strongly, and offer their collective insight. Every one of us has the duty to help create this collective insight. With this insight, compassion will give us enough strength and courage to find a solution for ourselves and the world. Every time we breathe in and go home to ourselves, creating internal harmony and joy, we are performing an act of peace. Every time we know how to look at another person and recognize the suffering that has led her to speak or act unskillfully, every time we are able to see that she is the victim of her suffering, our heart of compassion grows. When we can look at the other person with the eyes of understanding and love, we don't suffer and we don't make the other person suffer. These are the actions of peace that can be shared with other people. In Plum Village, several hundred of us have the opportunity to live together like a family, building brotherhood and sisterhood through everything we do. Although we live simply, we are very happy because of the amount of understanding and compassion that we can generate. We offer retreats of mindfulness in many countries throughout Europe, Asia, North and South America. When people have a chance to heal, transform, and to reconcile at these retreats, it nourishes us tremendously. Unfortunately, our political leaders have not been trained in the practices of mindful breathing and mindful walking. They don't embrace and transform their suffering. They have only been trained in political science. It is very important that we try to bring a spiritual dimension into our life, not vaguely, but in concrete practices. Simply talking about spirituality will not help very much. But if you go to a retreat for 5 or 7 days, you can come home to yourself, and every day you will be supported by hundreds of people practicing the same way. We always have experienced practitioners at our retreats. You have a chance to be in touch with people who are experienced in the practice, who can offer their collective energy of mindfulness and concentration to help others recognize and embrace their pain. A teacher, no matter how talented she is, cannot provide this kind of atmosphere on his or her own. You need a community of practice where everyone knows how to be at peace, how to speak peace, how to think peace, so that practitioners who are beginners are able to profit from the collective insight and the collective energy of the practice. A healthy world. Sometimes our sense of fear and insecurity comes from looking at the destruction of the planet around us. People wonder how we can continue to survive when we are destroying our planet. The environment suffers because we consume too much and without mindfulness. We destroy our environment just as we destroy ourselves because of unmindful consumption. Learning to consume less, learning to consume only the things that can bring peace and health into our body and into our consciousness will help heal the planet as well as our bodies. Congress could look deeply into the matter of consumption. There is a lot of suffering people in our society, and because they do not know how to handle their suffering, they consume in order to forget. When we are able to touch joy by living with compassion and understanding, we don't need to consume a lot anymore, and we don't need to destroy our environment anymore. Consuming in such a way can preserve the compassion and understanding in us. This is very important. We have a Statue of Liberty on the east coast of the US, but in the name of freedom, people have done a lot of damage to our nation and to other people. I think we have to make a statue of responsibility on the west coast in order to attain a balance. Liberty without responsibility is not true liberty. You are not free to destroy. If we forbid the kind of food that can bring toxins into our bodies, we have to also forbid the kind of food that can bring toxins into our individual and collective consciousness. Congress members must look deeply at these things to see where our suffering comes from. Unmindful consumption and production is at the root of our crisis. We are creating violence and craving by the way we consume and produce cultural items. If we continue like this, we will never solve our national and global problems. Our practice of mindful consumption and production will determine whether or not we can protect the environment. It is the individual who can affect change. When I change, I can help produce change in you. As a journalist, teacher, or parent, you can help change many people. Individual insight helps bring about collective insight. That's the way things go. There's no other way, because you have the seed of understanding, compassion, and insight in you. Whatever I say can water that seed, and the understanding and compassion are yours and not mine. My compassion, my understanding can help your compassion and understanding to manifest. It is not something that you can transfer. If you want the president to have that compassion and understanding, you have to touch the seed of compassion and understanding in him. You cannot transfer your understanding to him. It is the same between a father and a son. The wisdom of a father cannot just be given to the son. The father has to help the son develop his own wisdom. After various retreats, business people, police officers, and Congress members have expressed concerns about maintaining the lightness and compassion they felt during the retreat once they returned to their daily lives. The seeds have been planted in them, and we hope that they will continue to grow, but they need help. Community building is our true practice. Without a community, our practice will not be strong enough once we leave a retreat. Our purpose is not only to improve the quality of the life for an individual, but also to improve the quality of life of the community. The quality of life of the community. Everything you achieve as an individual will profit your community and your nation. So if a community or an organization like Congress applies the same kind of techniques or principles that an individual does, there will be great improvement to the life of that community. That was the fourth part of Calming the Fearful Mind, a Zen Response to Terrorism by Thich, Nhat, Hanh. I'm going to upload this section to YouTube under Asheric Meditation, ASHERIC, and you will be able to find parts 1 through 4. Tomorrow I will be back to finish reading chapter 5 and onward through chapters 6 and 7. All right, thank you so much. If you want to hear more from me, you can go ahead and follow me there, and I'll be reading for you again very soon. Thank you so much.